Hello, Mavs fans. Welcome to Pod Maverick After Dark. This is Kirk Henderson and Josh Bowe. We're recording live. It is almost 12:30 on Wednesday morning, April 24th. The Dallas Mavericks defeated the Los Angeles Clippers 96-93 to even up the series, one apiece. Josh, how you doing?
I'm doing about as good as I can. I think we've both kind of had some. We have personal life coming up right when the playoffs start. I think it's just par for the course, but we are here, we are ready, and at least we get to talk about a Mavericks win.
Oh my God. Yeah. I there is just nothing as great and as awful as close playoff basketball. I mean, I don't think I could have watched that game with other people around, because I was so tense. I mean, with 82 games, you kind of get lost in the shuffle, and then the meaningfulness of the playoffs come around. And, it was probably good you and I didn't talk on Monday, because that game was just so fucking stupid, where the Mavericks were not prepared, where, Luka and Kyrie were treating it like it was just some Sunday afternoon game to get started. And, we've talked about this. They during their win streak, they had a tendency to start the games farting around in the first quarter, only to clamp down and shut up the other team. That just never happened against the Clippers. And so to see them come out and play tonight, particularly with Kawhi Leonard getting injected back in the mix, and watch the team pull this out, because this was an awful basketball game, if we're being quite candid. Like it was 3 yards in a cloud of dust. It was swings, and I mean awful in the best ways, because it was gritty for both teams. There were lots of plays where, you're sitting there going, oh God, could that cost them the game? There's just no real way to explain it to a person who wasn't watching it live, just how gritty and how just fascinating a basketball game that this is, and I'm curious as to know where to start. I really need ESPN's garbage website to stop auto playing a fucking video every time I click onto their page. Anyways, where do you want to start, man? Where do you want to start? Because I'm all over the place in this one.
Yeah, I mean, it was a crazy game. I mean, do you want to talk about like the fourth quarter and what the Mavericks did, or kind of just because I know what my overarching theme from this game is, and I think these two games is, and it's the defense. Like the Mavericks defense is just, I don't know. I mean, it's as good.
It's amazing.
It's as good. It's as good as the second half of the season was telling us. And they played enough games that we assumed that this was as good, that this was enough data to tell us this is good defense. But you don't know until the playoffs, because playoff basketball is a different sport. Like, so you see what happens in game one, and I know people were really upset about the defense. I know that they didn't start off well defensively, but the Clippers didn't, they shot well from three, but they still didn't score in the paint. And the Mavericks defensive MO is, we're going to wall off the paint. You're not going to score at the paint. You're not going to score at the rim. We're going to give you some threes, but they're taking the bet that, you not being able to make any layups is going to outweigh
any layups. Yeah. I am just befuddled, because there were 3 Mavericks players near every rim attempt. I mean, guys that we have kind of been killing and been frustrated with for the better, like the rejuvenation of Maxi Kleber on defense, him playing sort of 4 and help side guy. Yeah, he did play a little bit small ball 5 tonight at times, but like he's been at his best as a disruptor force being able to, kind of meet guys and help defense as opposed to being the last line of defense. The Derek Jones Jr. stuff at point of attack was truly incredible in some possessions tonight. PJ Washington, really, really fascinating defense. I mean, it's just that they're switchable. And then, it's like Luka Doncic playing lockdown defense on Kawhi Leonard on repeated possessions.
Luka and Kyrie combined to have 5 stocks. Kyrie had 3 steals. Luka had a steal and a block. Like, they were as engaged and locked in defensively as they've been all season.
And honestly, I think the defensive scorekeeping took some things away from Luka in the first quarter, because Luka played some incredible first quarter defense when the game was still really when we were just getting into the mix of how gross it was. So I have a lot of complaints about this game at the same time.
Let's get to those later.
But no, nothing in specific, but it's like, or nothing that like caused the game to but it's just that, like, you look at this box score and it doesn't really compute. They won the battle of the boards. Josh Green had 7 rebounds in 14 minutes. Like, what is happening there? Derek Lively, 9 rebounds. This is just a really, really impressive team defensive performance. I mean, Kleber with 6 rebounds is wild to me. That dude never rebounds the basketball, and he had some incredible clutch boards tonight.
He had the game ceiling board, offensive board off a free throw. It was pretty good. Man. I mean, the story to me is the Clippers shot 13 of 28 in the restricted area in game 1, despite the fact that they won. Because, I was looking in game 1 and I was like, okay, they lost. Defensively, like, did they get away from what's worked for them, which has been, wall off the paint and we'll give up some threes. And the Clippers only won that game because they made, almost 50% of their threes. Outside of that, they didn't shoot the ball terribly well from any other spot on the floor. They still shot under 50% in the restricted area, which is, that's a good number for the Mavericks. That's a bad number for the Clippers. They shot 11 of 20 from the restricted area tonight, 55%, which is still way, way below league average. So we're through 2 games and the Clippers are basically shooting like 50% at the rim. That's not good for the Clippers. That's great for the Mavericks. And I know that the Clippers don't rely on a ton of paint points to do what they need to do. They rely on the 3 ball, but the 3 ball is variable. Like, we know that. Like, it kind of can come and go. So if the Mavericks keep denying easy paint points like they've had through 2 games, I just like their chances. Like, I know the Clippers shoot a ton of jumpers. I know that they're comfortable in the mid-range. I know that they're comfortable in some of the areas that the Mavericks are okay giving up. But, like, it's just so, like, you can't be that bad at the rim and still consistently win these games. So, like, unless the Clippers keep shooting kind of like what they shot in game 1 from 3, which I just don't know if it's sustainable, especially if Kawhi Leonard is going to look like this. I don't know. We've watched the Mavericks defense in the playoffs for a couple years now, and outside of the 2022 year, those first 2 years against the Clippers, like, it really felt like smoke and mirrors. Like, they were really trying to junk up the game, just to have a chance. It didn't feel real. This is real. Like, I'm looking through their lineup and the players that they're playing. Like, where are the weak links defensively if Kyrie and Luka are going to lock in like they did tonight? Because PJ Washington and Derek Jones Jr. have been great. Gafford didn't play a lot, and that might be something we can talk about later. But Kleba, Lively, those guys have been, like, there's not a lot of exploitable areas like this team used to have before the trade deadline and in previous seasons. So I don't know. Like, this could have been, if the Mavericks just kind of had their heads on straight to start the playoffs, this could have been a 2-0, series lead for the Mavericks. So I don't know. They've looked like the most impressive team in this series so far.
You didn't suffer in real time through game 1.
Right.
Like, game 1,
I might have thought differently if I watched it live.
So my 8-year-old son is watching the game with me, and, like, I love him to pieces, but he has a tendency to fill the space with talking. And so he'll be like, Daddy, who's the Mavericks' best player? Like, as the Mavericks score 8 points in the second quarter, and my wife was like getting furious with me during that game because I was just so testy. Anyways, it's just so wild because I would like to talk about the offense, but I think like the offense by and large comes down to and I think we sort of need to discuss that as a whole because outside of and yes, obviously the Mavericks scored 96 points. Kyrie and Luka combined for 55. I want to circle like not all of it was gross, but enough of it was gross to where I kind of feel like that's like the Mavericks just hitting shots is going to become a thing that we talk about here in kind of the second half of the podcast where we're talking about what they need to continue to work on. But barring, PJ Washington connecting on 2 huge threes down the stretch in the corners, no less, was absolutely incredible for me. Because he had blown 4 layups, or at least rim attempts, if you don't want to consider them layups. One, he was fouled by Kyrie or Kawhi. Maxi Kleber hitting 2 of his 3 3-pointers was really just incredibly important to this win. And that's about the offensive highlights that I wanted to talk about that I thought were good. I mean, I could have. This is going to drive some of our fans like crazy, but it's like Luka shot 5 of 14 from 3. Not like obviously some real killer shots in that mix, but then also some just possession murdering turnover level bad 3-point shots from Luka, which just hasn't been.
He's been good from 3.
Yeah, he's been so good from 3, and the threes he's taking are good. They just haven't been going down. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And it's going to be tough for them to sustain offense if he's not making threes, just with the way the Clippers are going to guard them and with the way the Mavericks kind of have to play with the lineups they're playing, because this isn't a team that plays a bunch of floor spacers like they did in the previous years. Like, PJ Washington made his threes, but I think the Clippers are still okay with him taking shots. Derek Jones Jr. was 0 for 1 from 3. You're playing a rim runner a lot of the time with either Gafford or Lively. And then, Josh Green was 0 for 2. Exum only played 6 minutes. They don't have a ton of shooters on the floor, especially Tim Hardaway Jr. getting hurt in the first half. He only played 6 minutes. So they're going to, teams are going to dare these other guys to shoot a lot more than maybe teams would have dared the Mavericks to shoot in the past. So Luka's going to have to take some of these threes that you might wince at and be like, oh, I don't know, but it's because you'd almost rather Luka take that than Derek Jones Jr. take a wide open one from above the wing or something like that. So the floor isn't perfectly spaced for him, like I think it was maybe some of the earlier series when the Mavericks had more and more capable shooters. But I mean, the compensation for that is they seem to have the most legitimate defense they've had in a while, and I might even put that above the 2022 team, which was also really good defensively. Like, just I don't know, it just feels more real. But offensively, like I thought they tried a couple different things a little bit better, because we talked about this before. We talked about this in Slack. Like the main thing was the Clippers were like, okay, we're going to let Kyrie and Luka score. They did the thing that happened that teams did coming out of the All-Star break when the Mavericks lost 5 of 6, where we're going to let Luka and Kyrie get their points and we're going to guard everyone else straight up because, we don't think Derek Jones Jr. can score on us if we give him an advantage, or we don't think Kleber can score on us unless we, send 2 and give him a wide open shot. So we're going to let Luka and Kyrie work one-on-one, and these other guys aren't going to score. And that kind of was working for most of the game. And then the Clippers started sending 2 at Luka. Kleber got a couple open threes. PJ got a couple open threes, and it's like, oh, all right, I guess they're gonna start doing that. It was kind of bizarre, but for the most part, if the Clippers are gonna guard you one-on-one and not give these role players space, you got to try to drum up some off-ball stuff. I thought they did some okay things early to try that. Like Jones was 4 of 6. I think he attacked some closeouts pretty well. But otherwise, they might have to win these games ugly.
Winning ugly. Okay, we're at about the halfway point in the show here. I'm going to take a moment. Those of you who are here, if you could do, watching the show live, if you could do me a favor, if you could hit the like button on the stream, that'd be really something I'd appreciate. If you would consider subscribing while you're down there, that'd be great. We've gotten some tips already during the show. If that's something you are at all interested in, Josh and I are very grateful. We got Master Fame saying, let's go. We're back up. Our defense is stout. Luka really hasn't played his best, and the Clippers should be worried. PJ Washington won the game with his corner threes. Let's defend home court. Mavs in 5. We got Albert shouting us out, saying too many players with 0 points. All the Clippers scored. Albert, you're not wrong. Juan saying daycare is expensive. Go Mavs. We want to thank you guys for doing that. Those tips and that sort of thing are always very appreciative. Josh and I are grateful. While you're, if you're watching the show a little bit later on a watching the video stream at a later date, because it is nearly 1 a.m, leave us a comment on the video. I read all those. I don't always have the time to respond to them, but I'm doing my best. Everybody listening on the audio stream, if you would consider subscribing, leaving a review, we're very appreciative. Shout out to Bobby for a quick tip there. Very, very appreciative of that, Bobby Chapman. And now we're going to insert some audio ads, and we will be right back. Thanks to those of you who are hanging out. Okay, this is just it's so like emotionally draining talking about this game at 1 a.m. I don't want to sound like I'm not excited about this game. It's talking about what the Mavericks did defensively in real time is a little bit difficult, other than to sort of gush at the results. I will say it's worth noting, for as well as the Clippers shot the ball in game 1 was almost as bad as some of these guys shot the ball in game 2. Kawhi Leonard 0 for 5 from 3. James Harden 2 of 10 from 3. Russell Westbrook 1 of 3, 1 of 3 from distance. And that, Terrence Mann 1 of 3. The Mavericks won by 3. The Clippers, the Mavericks won by 3, but they were plus. They hit 6 more threes than the Clippers. So there's still honestly some work to do for these Dallas Mavericks. And it's not necessarily a defensive conversation. It's honestly more of an offensive conversation. And you sort of started talking about it a little bit with what the Mavericks were doing. I'm going to be really curious to see what kind of the counter is, like, not to be overly morbid, but I think that if Tim Hardaway's ankle injury is actually severe and he's going to miss a couple of games, I think that takes away one of Kidd's go-to responses to like lackadaisical Mavericks offense. And I honestly think it's a good thing, because letting Tim bomb from 3 is not a sustainable offensive plan for trying to fire up the bench. They have to try to do some other things to get different guys going. Josh Green, we mentioned him before. He played 14 minutes. He was 0 for 2 from the field. Josh Green has basically hit 1 3 since the middle of March. Obviously he sprained his ankle and was out for a while, but he's just had kind of a rough offensive go. What can the Mavericks do anything other than get home and hope these other role players hit some of these easier shots? And just to be quite candid, Luka and Kyrie need to be a shitload more efficient. Like I'm obviously 55 points. I'm not criticizing as much as I'm saying they need to be more efficient with their shot making, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Luka has to make threes, and that's like not a fun conversation, because it's like, well, what can you do to make more threes? And it's like, make more threes. Like, he's going to shoot step backs. I mean, he's shot more catch and shoot threes in the regular season than he has at any other point in his NBA career. Yeah. So they could probably do a little bit better job with that. Haven't seen Kyrie run a ton of pick and roll with Luka off the ball in this series. So they could do a little bit more of that. They could do a little bit more with Luka and Kyrie working together. Has Luka or Kyrie screened for each other in this series? Not seen enough of it. No. Yeah, they could do a little bit more of that. Like, they did so much good stuff offensively to kind of try to counteract what teams were starting to pick up on. Because if teams are going to stay home on the role players and let your stars go one-on-one, and you can't outscore a team with 2 players. I mean, sometimes they're that good, but can't do that consistently. So it's like, so what do you do to get these limited role players opportunities if teams are staying home? Well, it's like, use your stars to free them up. Kyrie screening for guys, Luka screening for Derek Jones Jr. You get a backdoor cut. These are all things that have been happening in the last month that I haven't really seen too much of. I saw a little bit of it in the first quarter, but they kind of got away from it. Another thing that hurts, with Gafford kind of being played off the floor a little bit in the series. He's barely played
Gafford, yeah, the center
19
production.
minutes. He was kind of a counter because they were running high post offense through him and letting him find cutters. He was averaging 2 assists per game for a good stretch.
Well, he's come out. I mean, Gafford is ultimately the fact that they survived him being ass. I mean, it's just to be candid. Like, he's been awful. Like, he was weak in game one and he was sloppy in game two. And I don't know if he can play in this series. That's okay.
Yeah,
it's something they're going to have to figure out, though.
I don't know if the back injury he suffered pretty early on contributed to him only playing 9 minutes. I feel like we got to point that out. But defensively, he's been, he hasn't been the same. I don't think he.
This is a good comment. Jeremy Sennett says Gafford thrives on being able to out physical his matchup, and he cannot do that with Zubac.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, he's only got one. I mean, he's basically played 23 minutes. He has one block in 23 minutes, which is not a lot for him. He's 1 for 7 from the floor. And considering this is a guy who's had like two 30 streak consecutive buckets made within the same season, for him to go 1 for 7 over 2 games is pretty crazy. Like, he's not finishing. And I think that was another thing with Kidd. Like, I wonder if it wasn't the back injury, like he missed. I remember one of the last plays he had on the floor before he got taken out. I didn't really see him again. He missed. He got free in a pick and roll for a layup and missed. And it wasn't even against Zubac. It was against
Zubac. It was against a smaller guy. I don't remember who was in front of him, but it was almost Paul George. It was and Paul George is a big guy, but it had no touch and like really went off the backboard hard. I mean, he was 0 for 3 from the floor, and kudos to Kidd really for just deciding that he didn't have it.
If he's not finishing in those situations, and even if it is Paul George, which I know that happened in game one, like doesn't matter. Like, he's got to finish. Like, you can't have. If he's going over from the floor, like if he's missing shots and he's not being productive in the pick and roll, and then at the other end of the floor, it doesn't seem like he's containing as well as he contained at the level of the screen or in the paint as he did in the regular season. Like, you got to make the switch. Lively's mobility seems like it's been a pretty good, effective tool against the Clippers kind of star trio. And he's also, I think he's finishing better with his length. I think his length is allowing him to maybe get over the top a little bit better. But the thing with Lively is they weren't running that high post offense stuff with Lively. They were doing that with Gafford. So if Gafford's not on the floor, that takes away one of those counters we've been talking about that could maybe help. So if you're doing more Lively, you might have to try to think of something else. I think you need to run Kyrie off some more off ball stuff because I think he's actually been shooting the ball pretty well.
Yeah,
in this series.
Three for sure. He's going to get some of these crazier shots that he takes to fall given enough time. I thought he got fouled a couple of times and just didn't get calls tonight. Gonzalo asking the chat, something is wrong with Lively too, and I think that's probably in reference to the lack of like pick and roll stuff with Luka and Lively. Honestly, my take is what's happening there is like the Clippers are one of these teams that are uniquely suited to guarding the Mavs pick and roll, because if Luka and Lively are diving down the lane, there's somebody on the weak side, usually a lengthier defender, that is able to both kind of bump Lively and provide help there on the alley-oop while also kind of teasing Luka into throwing the, basically the pass, the kick out to the far corner. Mm-hmm. And the Clippers have taken it away from Luka a couple of times in this series. It happened a lot the other night where Luka even like passed one directly to Zubac. They're just good at this. The Clippers are good. Yeah. They're a good schematic, lengthy defensive team. And it's like we get so used to watching Luka destroy people in the regular season where it's like, oh, well, something's wrong with the Mavericks offense. And I don't necessarily think that's the case as much as the Clippers are shutting them out and they don't have the proper counters, or they're not using those counters, or like you're sort of saying, they're not getting into the sort of things that could perhaps help exploit some of these some of these myths, some of the weaknesses. I mean, the Clippers are just really good. It's kind of what it comes down to.
That's the cheat code of having Paul George and Kawhi Leonard on your team, right? Like, you've got an elite wing defender that can play on the ball, and you've also got an elite help side defender that can crash down if your big is playing up and you need someone to cover that lob man or that dunker spot. Like, George has been doing that almost all series, these 2 games, being the help guy on these bigs. So that's difficult. And also they're just like, we're not giving you easy lobs. Like, they're like, Luka, you can shoot a floater. Like, we're not letting Derek Lively catch uncontested lobs. Like, they've kind of made that conscious decision that they're just not going to let Mavericks get these open lob dunks, and they're going to live with whatever the ball handler is doing and seeing if their defenders can get over the screen and get back into the play and contest. Because I think they would rather Luka shoot a floater than they would rather let Lively catch a lob dunk.
Well, and Luka's not shooting that floater, and that's sort of driving me nuts, particularly when he's going down the middle of the lane. Tom Selden asked, why did Luka barely drive to the basket in the first half? And like, that's a great question. And I don't really have an easy answer for this, because what I need, like, you saw that there at the end of the third quarter when Luka really put his head down and drove to the basket. He's not using near enough force, because I think he's just trying to feel out the game. Like, he's playing very oddly. I don't want to say he's playing badly, because I don't think that's fair, but I think what the Clippers are doing enough on defense is making him second guess elements of what he's really good at. And he's taking just a whole lot of mid-range shots. He's not getting into the middle. And so when Luka's threes aren't falling and he's having to go to sort of the Dirk style mid-range game, and unless that's, like, he's just not going to get there. Like, he doesn't have that speed. He doesn't also put his head down enough and go, because I don't think he really wants to take that kind of a beating the whole game. And that's not a criticism. It's just something where it's, you play as physical as Luka does. You sort of have to pick and choose your spots. Otherwise, you're probably going to get crushed by the end of the game. Salam says the Clippers are not falling for the pump fakes. That's what I mean. Like, we're talking about how well the Clippers are doing defensively on the Mavericks, because they're just, we've seen this for the previous 2 playoff matchups. They're just very good at this sort of thing. And what, I sort of wonder, there's likelihood is like, there's just going to be a Luka game when he comes out and hits 4 of his first 5 threes. And that effectively breaks what the Clippers want to do the rest of the game. Because when you come out and you miss for your first 5, which I think he definitely did in game 1. And I think tonight he missed his first 3. The Clippers just going to give that to you until you really make them pay.
Right. So, and then he made them pay in the clutch with that last one. So that's kind of how it works. He was 2 of 6 in the paint outside of the restricted area. So, like, he hasn't, that floater range shot, which he's normally shooting like 47, close to 50% on those shots. And now he's shooting under 50, like almost under 40. Like, that's a big deal, because that's what the Clippers are kind of giving him outside of the threes. So if he's not making threes, he's not making those shots in the paint, kind of is making it tough on him. I just don't know where else he's going to get those shots, because he's getting to the rim at a career low rate, by the way, in the regular season. So he's not going to live at the rim like he did in 2020. Like, he's just a different version of Luka and a different version of this Mavericks team, because it's hard for him to live at the rim, because the Mavericks are playing like 3 non-shooters a lot of the time. So there's not a lot to go on. So
there's going to be, I just think the offensive breakout will come, but it's going to come from the Mavericks actually connecting on shots in the first quarter.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So again, this is just looking at what they can do differently. I mean, obviously that fourth quarter is huge. They scored 31 points.
And they hit 42% of their threes with Luka going 5 of 14. So they got the role players involved.
That's pretty amazing in and of itself. I mean, I think we're kind of close to wrapping up, and then I'll kick over to the secondary live show. I just sort of want to reiterate how cool I thought it was that PJ Washington rebounded from. I mean, he did not have a good, PJ Washington was having a horrible offensive game. Then he connects on 2 threes, which really helped seal the game, and then a pair of free throws. I mean, that was awesome. I was just really, his sort of ability to shake off some of the funk that happens with his game is pretty impressive. I'm used to
15 points in the second half.
Yeah. That's really something, man. That's really is pretty impressive.
And some of those misses, I was like, uh-oh. Like, he missed that alley-oop. Do you remember the alley-oop he missed layup that was like, just like, wait, why didn't you dunk it?
That's one of those where I keep making the joke that he needs glasses. He was at the rim and he shot the ball that way. Like it was he nearly airballed an oop layup. It was a riot. So bouncing back from those kind of fuck ups, a lot of guys don't do that. I mean, we watched, like, it took Dorian like 3 years to really to shake off bad play and then just bust through it. And obviously these are different players, different skill sets, but it's nice to watch. That's all.
And by the way, while he's recovering from that and having a really great offensive second half, he's, Kawhi Leonard has 15 points on 17 shots. Like James Harden has 22 points on 14 shots. Only 6 of 14 shooting. Like, he was everywhere. Like, his defense, that's what's been pretty remarkable about him. His offense does not swing his defense. And we've seen a lot of different Mavericks role players where it feels like they can only guard when they're making shots. And that doesn't seem to bother him, because he's definitely had some games where he's not making shots, but his defense is so steady from opening tip to the end of the game.
I'm a big fan. Big fan. Okay. Nearly 1 a.m. I think I'm going to kick over to the secondary live show. Those of you who are in here hanging out, I'm going to let Josh go do something else for the night. Probably do some editing. And then those of you who want to come talk basketball with me, we'll stay up maybe for another hour here. I mean, I'm awake. I don't want to be awake, but I'm kind of like the post adrenaline rush. It's not like I'd be able to sleep anyways. So we got 2 days until the Friday game. Maybe you and I will hop back in here. Maybe I'll try to see if anybody else out there in NBA world wants to talk a little basketball with me. But I'll be right back, and we will do our secondary live show. Those of you listening on the audio stream, look for the Mavs party to be posted to your feed at some point on Wednesday afternoon. Thanks so much for hanging out, Josh. We will talk soon, and go Mavs. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mavs Party. I'm Kirk Henderson, and we're still live. It's 12:54 a.m. here in Central Time Zone. We already got 3 people waiting to talk. If you are unfamiliar with this show, those of you who are watching live on YouTube, there is a StreamYard link, which I attempted to pin. I hope I did it correctly. Click on that link, and it will very quickly take you to basically a place you can talk on your phone. You can be live on your computer. However you want to do it. I want to hear what you have to say about this game. We'll hang out until nobody else has anything to say, and then we will go to bed. So coming up first, I have a new caller whose name I don't recognize and also don't know how to say, so I'm going to bring him up and let him introduce. Evening, how are you? How do we say your name, my friend?
Man, you can call me Jose, like Jose. It's just the abbreviation of it.
Oh, okay. I didn't. Look, I don't. It's so. I hate fucking up names. It's so embarrassing. How are you, my friend?
I'm fine. I'm talking from Brazil.
Yes. So what's going on? What'd you think of that game?
Well, first of all, I guess it was an awful game to see. Like, I know it's like playoff vibes and etc., but like I didn't think like that we imposed our game, and I think we are letting like Clippers coordinate the pace of the game, and that should be something that we could impose to give us some advantage. But I'm happy with the win.
Sure. I think the pace of the game could stand to be improved a little bit by Dallas. I think that's Luka's really wanting to control the pace, but I think that pushing in the fast break has been a strength of these Mavericks the second half of the year. I would like to see a little bit more of that, but there were a few times where Dallas tried it and goofy things happened, and that sort of changed the way things were going there. But it man, it was awful in all the right sports ways. That's basically why I love and hate watching like live sports. It's there's so many NBA games in the regular season. Sometimes they feel meaningless. When it really does matter, it's just it hits you here. Like it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, but by the way, like I think we are in the series. Like this will be such a closing series. I guess everybody is betting on 7 games, and we are. But if someone opens 2 games, I guess it's over because like it's too equal. It's too close. So, and I can see a brighter future. I don't know if it's that unpopular, but I think like in the off season we have some trade access that we can't be attached on, like. Josh Green, Tim Hardaway, Max Kleber, like if we get proposed from them, like just move on. I guess we have like room to improve, and I'm pretty satisfied with the season, but we have potential for so much more.
I'm going to be very interested to see what they can do. This series could go far. I also think the Mavericks could win the next 3 games if they just actually play some decent offense, which is, I'm sure people are going to be complaining tomorrow that Josh and I were a little too negative, but it's just, you watch these games and you're like, man, they missed some real opportunities to bury the Clippers. And I was just so excited that they actually won this one because I feel like they gave a lot of stuff away where it was just weird circumstance, guys missing shots that they could make, things like that. And so it was, I'm glad to get over the 1-win hump. And now maybe the Mavericks can go, when they come back to Dallas here on Friday night and really stick it to the Clippers.
One like out of team question, like I'm very admired by your knowledge of overseas basketball. Are you Yeah, not cheating at all. Are you like watching EuroLeague playoffs or something like that? Because like the time there in the US is kind of friendly for that.
So I have sort of the Instagram algorithm really feeds me a ton of stuff. So because I follow a couple of players like your countryman Marcelo Huertas, and I like watching where guys that used to be in the NBA go. I don't really watch any games live, but I love it. And then what's really fun is, particularly with like being a fan of Luka, a lot of Slovenian followers will send me clips from just different, wherever Dante Exum played last year. I've seen a lot. Some of the
lot there.
Oh my gosh! But just like the arenas, like I really love. I just love all kinds of different basketball because it's the same sport, but it can be really different depending on the environment. And so, it's obviously regular season and playoffs, for example, but the EuroLeague stuff, I just like following it. I wish I could watch more, but I think my wife would divorce me, so I choose against it.
Yeah, you mentioned Exxon. I think we need more of him in the game. I mean, like
he needs to find a flow. He's been very out of sorts, and he's made, frankly, he's looked not ready. And that's been a bit shocking to me.
Yeah, I guess it's a matter of just unlock. Once he's unlocked, like I guess he will find his space.
I think he'll lighten up.
He'll improve a lot.
Yeah, no, I'm very much looking forward to it. Well, my man, I'm going to try to get to as many people as possible. Thanks for kicking us off and starting the show.
Thank you very much, Kirk. See you.
All right, hope to see you Friday. All right. So here's what, guys, if you're getting a notification that you can't join because the room is full, basically we got 9 guys right now. I'm going to go through as many people kind of as quickly as possible. Definitely want all of you to be able to say your piece. That's the whole point of the show. But if you get kind of the notification that you're not ready or that it's full, try again. So coming up next is Harold. Hey, Harold, I bet you're feeling good.
Yeah, definitely. That was a really, really stressful game. It was a great game. That's for sure. I know you had said something about, was it a 5 yards in a cloud of dust or 2 yards in a cloud of dust? But
sometimes these games feel like old football games from before we realized that the forward pass was a good thing.
Yeah, well, one of the best football games I ever saw, I remember, was like around 1990. I think it was the 49ers and the Giants during the regular season, and the 49ers won that game 9-7. and it was one of the greatest games I've ever seen. So I loved today's game. It was so stressful. I don't mind defense. I mean, I don't like all of the sloppy turnovers. That was kind of annoying. But I did want to say that I think that the Clippers are better than that a lot of people gave them credit for. And this is going to be a good series for us. I said they were going to win it in 6 initially. Then I got a little cocky when the situation with Kawhi. I thought, okay, we're going to win it in 5. But I still say 6. But the fact that the Clippers are better than I think most people think, I think is really going to serve the Mavericks well for the next round. I think it's going to be a little bit easier. The offense is going to come a little bit easier in the next round because the Clippers are playing really great defense, surprisingly so. And Ty Lue is a great coach, and he's scheming the hell, out of the games. And you know what I think about Jason Kidd. So
Sure.
I'm pretty happy that it's going to be a tough series, but I think we're still going to win it in 6, and it's going to serve us well against probably Oklahoma City, who's I think is playing a team like the Pelicans that's just not ready. So,
Yeah.
Another point I wanted to make was Maxey. We talk about how we malign him a lot, but I know we all know his defense is really, really good when he's on. But it also seems like, you know what? I've noticed like his offense, he's clutch. He's not good. I get it. He's not good in the regular season, but it seems like in the playoffs, he'll shoot over 40%. I haven't checked his stats, but in the playoffs, his threes seems better. And I've noticed like in the regular season, when he's had a chance to hit last second shots, he's like, made them in pretty good. I think like at least half of them over the years that I've seen him shoot last second shots or shots with like 10 seconds left. So the guy's clutch. I think he's built for the playoffs because he's
He's just got to take the shots. Tonight, he took the
Yeah.
shots that were given to him without being like, fuck, which is
Right.
what he seems to do sometimes. So I was pleased that he looked so confident tonight.
Yeah, maybe it's just because I don't know. He doesn't think as much in the playoffs. He's just running around crazy, playing great defense. He's shooting when he needs to shoot, and it is what it is. And then the last one thing I wanted to say was about Hardaway. Him being out, and we saw how the defense was awesome tonight. It reminded me again of the second half of 2022 and the way we played in the playoffs there. And I just hope that he's had a lot of months to figure it out, but I'm hoping that he does figure out that Hardaway needs to play less minutes, and we'll be on our way with the defense. And Luka and Kyrie will wake up, and we're going to get through this series for sure. And it's going to be a nice run in the playoffs. I'm pretty confident.
Good, Harold. We'll talk soon. Hopefully Friday. All right.
All right, man. Take care.
All right. Got a lot of people waiting to talk. So we're going to go to, I keep getting the notification that the room is full and people are trying to join. So just keep, it feels very much like a whiny liberal Twitter account during an election. If you're in line, stay in line, screaming at, I really want you to come hang out with me and talk basketball. So please, I will move as quickly as possible, but I want people to know that we're chatting here. All right. Sudoshan, how you doing tonight? Hit that unmute button. How you doing?
Hey, you got my name right.
I did?
You might be one of the few Americans who actually gets it right.
Let's go. How you doing?
Hey,
how you doing tonight?
Long time listener, actually. This is the first time I'm coming on.
Well, I'm grateful for you joining us. What's going on? What do you think about the game?
It was a slugfest. It was a real slugfest. And to be not the best wake-up call in the morning, if I'm honest.
But then you're going to be, it's grindy basketball. It's stressful, and the stress is we're supposed to like it. I don't know why. I guess we're all gluttons for punishments. But I in hindsight, I will say I had a good time. I don't know if I had a good time during the process.
No, I know. The rest of my house was basically checking in to see whether I was going nuts because basically I was yelling at the screen.
Sure.
Constantly. But I mean, to pick up off of that, I would prefer to wake up like this than go to sleep after how game 1 happened. Game 1 was just a complete and utter shit show from from the beginning.
We had a guy from Ireland who joined, and he's like, "This is the only game I'm going to be able to watch," and it was awful. Like, I felt so bad for him.
Well, I mean, it's been 10 years of following the NFL as well, so I've kind of gotten used to the 1 o'clock games. It's just that it's kind of a bitch in college afterwards. Sorry for my language as such.
Oh, that's fine. I curse like a sailor. Come on, you know this.
So yeah, because I have to get up at 8 a.m. to get to college, and yeah, staying up till 3:30 to watch them completely shit the bed is not the best way to start the day. But what I wanted to ask you was, there were points where it was really frustrating to watch in the second and the third quarters, where it felt like every time we'd get a turnover, they would just turn the ball right back, and they were really doping it up, like Luka particularly.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, was it just the Clippers defense, or was it just the? I mean, they were getting frustrated with the lack of foul calls, and you saw Luka with the kind of shitty tech at the end of the third quarter. But I mean, how do they navigate these kind of situations? I'm sure it'd be easier at home. It's not easy in an away setting as such, but
that's part of it. They're gonna have to figure this out. And they're gonna have to keep forcing the issue, not settling for mid-range shots, find means of getting to the rim. Josh Bowe talked about this on our last show a little bit. He thinks they're not using their full offensive repertoire yet. I tend to agree. Mm-hmm. But I also think the Clippers are just so rangy that this might just be ugly basketball. And if they connect on an outside shot early, I think that will help loosen up the Clipper defense. Mavericks just really haven't been shooting the three well early, really Luka in particular. Kyrie ends up being a little more measured with his threes. Sometimes I feel like he doesn't take near as many as I'd like to see because he's just so good. Particularly, he like pulls up and it just seems to surprise the defense.
But sometimes he takes those transition threes and I don't know whether it's Tim Hardaway Jr. PTSD. But even when you see Kyrie take it, you're like, no, yes.
Oh, and he might be statistically on those pull-up and transition threes. I'm pretty sure Kyrie's the best at that in the league. He shoots something like 42 to 44% on them. But when they miss and there's nobody else down there, because he's usually the one first up the floor, it feels kind of extra awful. But I can't shake the feeling that an offensive explosion is coming from this Mavericks team. That's where I land.
Right. And the one other thing that I noticed was, for the first time ever, I'm seeing Luka really get on his teammates. And I don't know whether, again, it might be a little bit of frustration, I guess, but there were points where he was visibly like agitated with how they were playing, whether they were being careless with the ball or whether they weren't sort of getting into sets or whether they weren't sort of. So I don't know, is that the pressure sort of catching up to him, or is it just like, I mean, Luka being.
No, it's hard for me to say because some of their sets, Luka's the one calling them. Kid lets him call things, and I don't know. We'll see more of it. I think the physicality was getting a little bit frustrating for Luka tonight because the Clippers in that third quarter got all the free throws and the Mavericks didn't get, I think, maybe one, and that really started to bother him. But he's got to play through that because the foul calls are going to come and go. Some games they'll get a lot of them, and some games they're not.
Mm-hmm. So, and one final thing before I head over, what do you think are the next adjustments? Like, we know that Tyloo's like quite the chess master when it comes to adjustments game to game or even in game. But what are the adjustments you think they can make? Because I don't think they can hope and pray that they miss 3 pointers away.
I think it really depends on whether Kawhi plays again. I think Kawhi playing resulted in Harden and Paul George taking the foot off the gas a little bit. I also think that they didn't force the Mavericks centers and to deal with Zubac near enough. He's just such a load down low, and obviously 20 points is a bit of an outlier game for him, but they didn't really make him much of a threat until the second half. So I think they really kind of re-emphasize that is what I think. As for the Mavericks, they just need to hit some shots. I don't know. Man, we'll see though. But man, thank you so much for joining. I hope you come back.
Yes, I look forward to that. Have a nice evening.
Have a good day. Talk soon. All right. Now we're gonna go to my main correspondent, Brian. Hit that unmute button. What's going on tonight, friend? Been a long time no talk.
Yeah, brother, it's been a while. How have you been? How did you enjoy the game?
I did okay. This has been kind of a stressful evening because my wife took the baby to the emergency room midway in the first quarter. He's fine, but it was
Okay.
he has croup, which I don't know if you've ever heard a baby that has that. But they sound like a fucking goose, and it's just an awful noise, and it freaks you out as a parent. But he's fine. But it sounded like he couldn't breathe, and so it's like, well, I can't breathe because of playoff basketball. Now I can't breathe because my kid's sick and leaving, and so he ended up coming home fine. But now I'm here, and it's 1 a.m, and I'm all juiced up. So what do you think about the game?
Man, okay, a few points. PJ Washington, Derrick Jones Jr., Josh Green, defensive rebounding. Wow, hats off to you. All three of you. Maxi Cleaver, 6 rebounds. Hats off to you. Much appreciated. We needed it because Daniel Gafford did not have it tonight. This might not be a Daniel Gafford series. Derrick Lively, 9 boards, only 7 points. He really should have had more. Like when Gafford and Lively like catch and like start actually finishing at the rim,
Right.
we're really gonna break the series open. But even with that, Lively still had a pretty good game, especially compared to how Gafford was faring. And I know he's gonna get his head back on straight. He's too good a player to keep playing the way he's been, but it's been rough for him. So we'll see how that goes. Luka Doncic, ISO defense, particularly in the clutch. Wowza. Like really. I don't have too many words, man.
Oh, shocking. Jason, do you follow Jason Maples on Twitter by chance?
I don't think I actually follow him, but I see.
Yeah, he's like one of those kind of podcasts. Jason guy. He had a really hilarious, like Luka doesn't play any defense, and then he absolutely deleted the tweet. Now I just see it all over my timeline. It's really making me laugh.
And to his credit, came right back towards the end of the game. He said, "Okay, yeah, no, Luka's walking him down defensively." So like, hey, credit to Jason where credit is due because he's a Pels guy. He's not really too keen on giving Luka any credit, but no, Luka was awesome down the stretch when they were hunting him over and over and over, getting his man to come up and set screens, trying to make him work, trying to gas him so that he couldn't give them anything on offense. And he walked down and he hit step back 3 after step back 3 after layup after corner kick, and was coming right back down and locking up Kawhi, James Harden, Norm Powell, Amir Coffey, Russ Westbrook in the ISO. So like that's if you want to be a star, if you want to be the MVP, if you want to win the championship, that's what you got to do. You got to do it on both ends, and you don't have to be elite, but you got to be able to hold water, and they got to know they can't pick on you. And yeah, now I'm just interested to see what the next move is. Like, is it okay? Let's try Kawhi. Let's try Kyrie now, and see if he can hold up to that physically. I don't know, but Luka was great. Kyrie was, like you said, he was really selective in his shots. He only took 18. I was kind of surprised by that, but went 18 from the field, hit shots when we needed them, played pretty in control, was much better than he was in the first game. And I thought he was pretty good in the first game, even though everything went to shit.
The turnovers were the only thing that had me like in my feelings mid-game. The Clippers only turned the ball over 8 times. The Mavericks only turned the ball over 13 times, but it felt like Luka's and Kyrie's turnovers were of the live ball variety, and those always feel kind of extra catastrophic. I mean, almost every Maverick turnover was a live ball. Like, you remember Maxey getting stripped, and I'm like, that's why we don't dribble Maxi Kleber.
Yeah, was that Russ that came and got him from behind?
Yeah. It was a great strip by Russ. So it's like, what? And it's just, oh God. This game,
and that's the thing with the Clippers. They're just all active hands and elbows and knees and everything just flying everywhere. And you would think that they're a team that plays at a faster pace than they do, but they don't. We're the faster team usually, and if our bigs can catch and finish, maybe we can get back to some of that. Until then, we're stuck in the mud, and we just got to play in the mud. And our guys did a great job doing that tonight.
Like it. Well, I hope you come back for Friday night. That game starts at 7, so we'll have a much more reasonable podcast time.
Yeah, I'll be there for sure.
All right, man. Talk to you soon. Have a good week.
Yes, sir. You too.
All right. Coming up next is my man Greg. And then we're going to go Karam, JJ, Nick, Rob. We got Chris is trying to connect to the show, but it says his devices aren't connected. So I won't be able to bring him up till that gets sorted out. Greg, how you doing?
Good evening or morning.
Thanks for hanging out. What's going on tonight or this morning?
Would like to see a little bit more pick and roll. Would like to see a little bit more getting out and running. I think that the Clippers kind of ran out of gas towards the end of the game. I think if we run a little bit more, we can hasten that process. But one thing that's driving me crazy in the pick and roll is the Clippers are pushing the screener into the guy being screened, and the ref's got to call that.
I also need the ball handler to use the screen a little more. You're right about the kind of extra physicality out there. I don't know though, because what they really look for, like the point of emphasis is for the screener to make sure that the screener's not moving. And if I'd be surprised if we ever really see that. Like Josh Green got called for one of those tonight. Do you remember this? It was maybe not. Josh Green only had 4.
Right.
He played 4 fouls in his 14 minutes, but it's like one of those off ball things where he's coming around and he goes so hard over the screen that he basically commits a foul. And I think that's sort of what you're asking them to call a little more of on these high screen and rolls from Mavericks.
No, what I'm asking them to call is that the Clippers, when they're on defense and we're coming up to set a screen, they're actually pushing the screener into the guy being screened. Go back and watch the tape. It's every screen and they can't, get down and set a very good screen. And so now they're just flipping the screen instead of using the screen.
Okay. I'm going to have to go look for it. I believe you. I just like the game was getting so physical at certain points. I was kind of throwing my hands up and I'm like, well, I guess they're not going to call anything. So that's an interesting observation.
I was not happy with the officiating either, because I thought that they were allowing the Clippers to be a lot more physical than the Mavericks.
Third quarter, that was certainly the case. The third quarter was particularly bad. I thought the fourth quarter is a little better. I mean, Kawhi in particular is one of the hardest guys to ref because he's just like Luka in that he's so unbelievably strong. Like they simply do not call the off. Like he gives a little forearm shiver on his drives. He did it to Derek Lively once right under the rim. And Lively's just so good about being enormous under the rim, but he basically folded Lively over before taking the jump, like taking a little 3-foot hook. The Clippers are really talented at the minutia of offensive fouling. So
yeah.
Well, anything else?
Well, I thought that Luka had a very, very good defensive game. Probably the best defensive game I've seen him play, actually. And I think that if he continues that in this series, that it's going to be very hard to beat the Mavericks, because now you got somebody that can guard Paul George or that third, superstar type player, so to speak. So, and I thought Kyrie actually had some very good defensive moments against James Harden.
Yeah, not bad. I mean, Harden was really on one the other night, and they didn't leave Luka solely on Harden tonight, which was a good thing for me. I was very impressed by Luka's defensive game. I'm looking forward to sort of watching more of the tape on that if I get time tomorrow or before the next game. If he locks in a little, it's very hard for him, a guy who has a ball like that, to lock in all game long. But if he does it a little more frequently, then maybe he doesn't need to be so much of a Superman on offense.
Yeah, finally, PJ and Derek Jones Jr. combined for 28 points and 13 rebounds. And if we can get just one more guy going just a little bit, I think it's Church.
I think I like the take. Greg, thanks for staying up late to talk basketball with us.
I'll see you on Friday.
All right. Okay, coming up next is Karam. Karam, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I am fading, but that's okay.
Yeah, I feel you. I gotta get ready for work. I gotta go to sleep so I can go to work tomorrow. I'm in California, so my time
okay, not quite so bad for you.
No. Just a few points. Someone put on the thing on the chat that Kleber Maxi averages about 37% from the 3-point line in the playoffs. So that's not bad.
Yeah, no, it's quite good.
Yeah. With all the shit that we give him, that's impressive.
Like he might as well just not be out there.
Yeah. I will say I'm happy that he got a new toe because his defense has been quite stellar.
It really has been. They wouldn't be here without his defense.
Second, I don't think like this aberration that we were not shooting well, like I think that's gonna change or has to change at home. I just feel like going home, the fans are gonna be on crack, and I think that momentum is going to be pretty big for us going forward. I still think we're gonna win the series. I think going back home, I think for whatever reason, I feel like Luka has not been Luka in the playoffs. Is that weird?
No, he's not. He's not looked right, and I don't have a reason.
I don't either.
A lot of people have asked me, and a lot of my NBA fans who maybe don't watch the Mavericks still kind of continue to comment on his weight. I don't think that's it.
No.
I have some really ridiculous theories that probably shouldn't. It's like that probably aren't even worth sharing, but they're just. I think he'll be okay. He's allowed to have an off stretch.
Well, what are your theories?
I mean, my first theory that's absolutely preposterous is he's out. His wife and his 4-month-old child are out there in Los Angeles with him.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, no, they are because she keeps posting photos. And number one, traveling with a small child, even as a rich person, strikes me as utterly exhausting. Because like once you get your kids off the sleep cycle and stuff like that, it just is tough. Even if he's like sleeping in a different room, there's just like a mental thing there, and that's a silly thing because all of these guys' families travel. All these guys' families travel with them to the game.
But that's his first
time, right? Right. So that's kind of my really truly harebrained thing that it's like there's just a little extra stress and. It's the playoffs. It's third time you're playing the Clippers.
That's what I was thinking. I think is that the nerves of just playing them the third time. He hasn't beat them at all, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that might be weighing on him. Like, can I beat this team? Like, kind of like, I don't like nightmarish. I guess I don't know.
No, it's something that weighs on you. I think.
Yeah. I don't think PJ is gonna play like ass at home. I hope not. But he hasn't looked good.
He offensively, PJ is who he is, where I think we're just never going to get. It's not like he's going to be a super consistent guy. Now, can he make layups? That's all I really needed him to do tonight. And then he went from being really rough to being essentially the reason they won the game with his two big threes. So.
I'm sorry. I meant Daniel Gafford.
Gafford. Well, yeah, I'm not sure Gafford is going to be a part of this series.
Maybe he will. I think he can be, but I think you need to put Lively starting and have PJ come off the bench.
Yeah. Well, maybe
that will work. Can I say one more thing? Are you cool with that?
Of course, man.
The last thing I want to say is I think if we can take the next game, I just feel like our percentage, like our shooting percentage has been pretty shit these last two games. I don't see it going that way at home. Mm-hmm. Like they have to shoot better, right? I mean, first game, historically crap. I mean, what did we score today? 32%, 33%?
From three? They did real well from three as a team. They shot 42%,
what about from
33.
The field?
From the field, they shot 42% from the field. That was pretty rough.
They had like that Daniel Gafford dunk. I mean, like our shots have to go in from that close of a range, right? And I think if we can take game 3, I think the series is over.
That's right. That's right. All right, man. Thanks for joining. I hope you come back next game.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Have a good night.
All right, talk soon. All right, coming up next is JJ, and then we're going to Nick Rob, and we will close out unless there's other folks. JJ, what's going on?
Kirk, how's it going? Thanks for having me again.
Of course. Thanks for staying up late.
Thanks for what you do to your body. This is what is it, 1 over there? I'm in
That's
Cali as
fine.
well. So
It's fine. It's it's 1:30. I'll be fine. It's once we push like the 3:30 stuff and I get less than 4 hours, that's when I'm awful.
well, yeah, thanks. I mean, this is a big service to the Mavs fan community, so appreciate it. Yeah, that was an awesome 1997 Knicks Heat basketball game. That was a slugfest. I heard this note that it was our first win all season, scoring less than 100. So that was
that wouldn't shock me.
yeah, that was shocking. Kyrie looks hyper motivated. I loved what he was doing defensively in the second and third quarters, especially like so many deflections and steals, probably stuff that doesn't even show up on the box score because he was just all over the place. There was a play where he stripped Kawhi on the sideline just to kind of break up a low post play. And I noticed things are getting pretty chippy between him and Harden. I think they have some beef going back to their Nets days, right?
Oh, 100%.
So I think he looks like really, really motivated, especially defensively when guarding Harden. So I think that's benefiting us.
Did you see the little shove? There was one play
Game one.
Fact, this game where it's like they were on each other and he just sort of Harden just shoves Kyrie like offhand thing. It was like an after the play thing. It might have been towards the end of the third quarter. I'm getting it wrong, but there's definitely some testiness there.
That happened in game one. I remember that happening in game one. Kyrie did that to Harden after like some play. Harden was just hanging around him and he shoved him off. So I like that. I mean, I think that's motivation for Kyrie. I don't know if Harden responds the same way, but so I think that's net a benefit to us. And then I don't know. I think I have to disagree with a lot of folks here. I like what I'm seeing out of PJ again. Like I said this last time, in his first playoff series, he's certainly not shying away from the occasion. He's remaining aggressive.
No, that's true.
He's shooting his shot. He remained aggressive through some adversity in this game. Made some huge impact plays in the fourth. I like what I'm seeing. So I think he's playing an integral part of our success so far in this series. On the flip side, a few things that got me concerned is PG is a problem defensively. Like I've noticed that, especially early in games when Kyrie or Luka are in ISO, PG just seems to roam off his guy and just come over and kind of, sometimes from the back or over the top, and he's just been like hampering Kyrie, especially in ISO. And we got to figure out a way to make them pay for that. I don't know if we have the shooters to do that, but we have to make them pay.
It depends on who he's been locking up. I don't remember who he guarded tonight, but I want to say it's Kyrie early. The Mavericks have to find a way to get some action involving Kyrie getting an easy look early. I think that will change. And, the Kyrie really doesn't force the issue. It drives a lot of the big Kyrie super fans that pop in here and then are on Twitter, I think, like, are really frustrated that Kyrie doesn't get the ball more early. I honestly think that's kind of by his own choice. I would love to see him force the action early just for a different look, because I don't know if teams are expecting it. And then, he ends up taking 2 or 3 shots in the first quarter regardless. But sometimes I feel like they come well after, Luka's gotten his first 4 attempts. I don't know. It's just for a different look early. And Mavericks offense felt a little stagnant last couple of games. So.
Yeah. Kyrie had 0 in the first quarter. We're just, we've got to change that. And we have to find a way to make PG pay. This is nitpicky, but we missed a lot of free throws. We went 67% from the line. We missed 9 free throws. That's 9 free throws. That's 10% of the entire point, all the points we scored in this game, right? We scored like 96 or whatever. So we can't afford to miss that many free throws. We're not.
Lively missing 3 of his, and that's, you kind of got to live with that. Jones, like, they're just not good free throw shooters. Washington missed. He connected on 1 of 3 on a 3-point one.
Yeah,
that really hurt. But then he hit the next 4 he took,
Right.
You know, and Kyrie missing that one at the end
Yeah.
was wild. So it's like it really felt like the Mavericks kept trying to give this game away in different means. So
yeah. And then just last few things I'll say. I'm interested to see if the Clippers actually start to crack mentally, because I mean they have certainly versus 2-3 years ago they have some big egos on that team, right? Harden's known to disappear in the playoffs and kind of go through his own shit. I think PG's already kind of disgruntled, right? His future is not secure. We just need to come out and punch him in the mouth on Friday night and instill some doubt. Westbrook is a wild cannon, right? He's a loose cannon. We need to play the mental game here, and I'm hoping Luka, with how he finished that game, I'm hoping he comes out and just throws a few haymakers. And then lastly, Kawhi is coming. Like, he missed all of his threes tonight. He looked rusty in the first. He is going to play better. We've seen it in Dallas before.
sure.
So yeah, I don't think this is going to be easy by any means. I'm a little surprised Mavs fans are so confident. I mean, I'm a homer, but
I just have a healthy respect to the Clippers, and
Yeah.
Even if Kawhi doesn't play, let's say that his knee's acting up. I mean, he went down hard a few times tonight, where I'm like, eesh. Because you never want to see a guy get hurt, even a guy you loathe. But they just have a lot of weapons, and it's important to continue to take this team seriously. Even from, and I'm sure the Mavericks certainly do, but it's mentally, as I'm watching the game, it's like, oh my God, they're passing the ball to these guys. 2 or 3 of these guys would slide right into the Dallas rotation, not meaning the superstars, but the guys that are on the tail ends of the back half of the Clippers rotation, like
Norman Powell. Yeah.
Heck of a basketball player, right?
Yeah. He hasn't gotten going, which is amazing for us. I was scared of him coming into the series, so thank God he has gotten going. But yeah, they're dangerous.
Well, thanks so much for hanging out and talking late.
Thanks, Kirk.
All right, coming up, last but not least, one of my Los Angeles-based friends, Mr. Nick Robb. What's going on? Hit that unmute button. See if he's actually still awake. I sent him a DM on Twitter, and we'll see if he can figure out how to use this particular platform. He said he wanted to talk, but I'm not sure. He might have actually gone to the game tonight. You there? I can see him messing with the thing. Hit the unmute button. Their mic can't unmute your guest. The mic isn't connected. Nick, we need you to close this out because I want to go to sleep. Let's try this then. All right. Whoa, how's this?
There we go. You hear me?
Yeah, you look good too.
Oh, good. Well, welcome to not so sunny Los Angeles. We're over by the lighting center where they coordinate all the installing of the various light posts.
Fantastic. This is
hundreds of years of light post history right here.
This is on the ground, boots on the ground reporting.
This is off-center tourist stuff. Like, I think anytime you come out here and go to take your children to Disneyland, you don't get to see this. So here you go. I had the misfortune of going to game 1, but also the great pleasure of going to game 2. And it's very interesting how they both went. I can tell you my observations is Luka just looks tired in both of them. And he played, everyone was down on him. I thought he played very good defense from what I could see in game 1 too, but better in game 2. Start of game 2, it really made me want to love Jason Kidd, because they just ran at Zoo and they racked up too early, got him out with something like 4 minutes into the game. And I'm like, yes, okay, he understands it. And then, no, nothing like that. They didn't challenge Zoo, make him draw fouls. They still minimalized him in certain ways, but it still wasn't this aggressive, okay, this is your guy, this is going to be your game changer, let's get him the fuck out.
Yep.
I'll give you people a little bit of flavor. I've been going to Clipper games for a while now. I adopted them as my like secondary team. The energy in the building has still never gotten close to what it was during the Chris Paul era, ever. Like this is probably the best Clippers team on paper, and there were empty seats throughout the game. The people next to me left before halftime because his girlfriend was tired or what the fuck ever. It's really interesting how it goes. Like they are still the redheaded stepchild of Los Angeles, and I am very interested to see how they go into a dome. Because their best selling point is this team will not have Paul George on it.
Right.
The best player I've not enjoyed 1 minute of watching, despite any team he's been on. Let's see what else do I gotta say. I'm cautiously optimistic. I think they're just missing so much, the Clippers, this game, that it's like I can't just go to the top of Griffith and just yell about it. Like they're missing. They're playing so sloppy. And it's just like, this is great. I love it. I love this moment, but can I build off of it? I don't know.
One of our commenters just keeps posting streetlights over spotlights because of where you're walking, and
yeah, that failed. The Clippers have had so many fucking failed campaigns.
Poor, it just isn't gonna work, and they can't do anything about that.
Yeah, and they're targeting lower income areas that don't go to Lakers.
That aren't gonna trek to go to a game. Yeah,
but those are the most Lakers fanatical people in Los Angeles by far.
That's right.
So there was a sequence, and so I wasn't, I was at the game, and so I wasn't. The Clippers were bringing the ball up. There's a whistle and then a side out, but nobody was assessed a foul. And this was in the second. And it's just like I was very confused about that. And there's an instance where Kawhi made a basket, gets called a foul, but Zubac shot the penalty, and it's just like as we were just sitting there, we don't get the commentary, and the Clippers PA system is they're very bad about saying like visiting team substitutions and stuff like that. And so I was wondering if there's something I was missing. There's some stuff where it's like, I've never seen this. I've never seen somebody make a basket and then another guy on the same team shoots the ball. I've never seen that. But like Kawhi was on the line.
They were trying to get away with it. The broadcast crew was like, the broadcast crew was calling it out as it happened, and the refs nearly missed it. It was pretty bad.
Kawhi was on the line, and they're like, no, you go. Zubac is going to shoot this. And it's like, I don't understand what's happening, but, in terms of free throw shooters, I'll take it. Kawhi has no lift on his shot. That gives me some cautious optimism to, I don't know. This game was a lot more fun than the last one.
That's good. I'm glad you got at least one fun game.
Yeah. This was the best way I want to send off the crypt.
Right.
Not the last one.
That's right. All right. Well, thank you for joining, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the series.
I fucking hope I do
too. All right. Maybe see you in here later in the week. Have a good one.
Let's do it.
All right. Okay, guys, it's been a lot of fun. Mavs Moneyball has our normal content. Josh Bowe has informed me he is writing a post-game column because he likes writing in the middle of the night like a weirdo. We'll be back here Friday like we do. And I don't know, maybe I'll see if I can find somebody else that would want to talk basketball with me during the week. I'll post all this stuff on the YouTube. Those of you who are, the drill, please leave a comment, like, subscribe. Get notified whenever we go live. We'll talk soon. Everybody have a great rest of your week, and go Mavs.